What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and as I promised, I have the other video to Counterpunch concerning Deontay Wilder and his explanation, his continued explanation, I guess, to speak on why he turned down the $120 million deal. Now, I was going to cram that into one video, but that video got a little lengthy. You know, I have to explain things in detail and counterpunch things appropriately, so I didn't have time. So I'm doing another volume to it. And actually, this is actually another video because, you know, it states two different things. And I'm going to explain why and let you guys listen to some of this. Okay, to start off with, this video is when Deontay Wilder was stating, he started off with quietness or silence is a dangerous or a powerful weapon. Okay. And it's funny that he said that because he goes on to say this.
To make themselves rise. And I've always been learned by the best. If somebody had to knock somebody else down to gain, then they ain't no good themselves.
So he said he's learned from the best that if anyone had to knock anyone else down to make themselves look good, they're no good themselves. If you learn by the best, I guess you learned that from Anthony Joshua, right? Because Anthony Joshua is the person that I hear say that a lot. He said it on The Breakfast Club. He said it on Sway's Universe. He said it on various other interviews. And he said it way before you. So I'm thinking if you're talking about the best, you're talking about Anthony Joshua. So yeah, I got to agree with you on that. The only thing is you had to call people names. But let me continue.
You know, they're untrustworthy. You know, how you trying to get me but saying, but on one narrative, nobody knows me, but on another narrative, you trying to throw all this money at me. That don't make no sense.
Hey Deontay, going from the boxing voice and as well as Shelly Finkel, I wanted to get into the whole John Skipper meeting. Why didn't it work out? I know you want to do your own thing. Was the negotiations of the terms not great? Was the money not great?
Well, let me counterpunch something with Deontay Wilder. He stated, and he was referring to Eddie Hearn, like, how are you going to say that no one knows me, but then offer me a lot of money? That doesn't make sense. Well, he kind of had it going. The only difference is we don't know what money he was referring to. If he was referring to the $120 million, that did not come from Eddie Hearn. Okay, so he's sadly mistaken. That came from John Skipper of Dazn. Okay, not Eddie Hearn. Now, if he was talking about Eddie Hearn, to be fair, he's referring to the $28 million or the $15 million flat or the 12.5 that he claimed was slave wages, but we clearly can't be talking about that amount of money because that's slave wages, right? So we had to be talking about the 15 or the 30-70 or the 60-40 or the 28 million guaranteed plus an upside. We had to be talking about that money if that's what he was talking about with Eddie Hearn. And on top of that, how is that bad from saying that no one knows who you are? To this day, Bob Arum still says that about you. He said it about you last week. He said no one knows who Deontay Wilder is. He has to build his profile. That's why we had to offer him a 3 to 4 fight deal with the inclusion of Tyson Fury because we had to build his profile on this network. And that was the words from Bob Arum. So if someone's saying no one knows who you are, that's like Floyd saying he said the same thing about Earl Spence. Floyd Mayweather did in a Terrence Crawford. He didn't mean that in derogatory. People really didn't know who they were on a standard of other sports. Okay. If you can ask who Errol Spence is, that's not a boxing fan. If they don't know him, that's a problem. People are supposed to know who the boxer is. At least if they don't watch boxing, they're supposed to know who is the champ. That's what they were referring to. Now, maybe to be fair, Eddie Hearn was referring to it in a derogatory sense, like poking fun. Because, you know, he can be a prick at times. We know that. That's in his personality. That's in his DNA. He's a slick talker. He's a slick capper. So he might have meant that. But calling you names as untrustworthy and stuff like that, you shouldn't take an offense. What you should do is do something about it by getting his fighter into the ring and fighting that particular fighter. But we ain't trying to go there, you know. But the funny thing about it, also to counterpunch, he's saying that silence is the biggest weapon, right? And that's funny that you say that, because that's exactly what Joshua did with you when you were supposed to be building up your fight with Tyson Fury. All you could do is talk about Anthony Joshua every time you looked around. On British television, over here in the States, you made it known that how you felt about Anthony Joshua, and you called him everything but a child of God. Did you or did you not? So were you, in fact, breaking his name down to make yourself look good, using his name to build your profile? Wasn't you doing that then? So aren't you considered untrustworthy? Should you look in the mirror or should you not look in the mirror? Because that's exactly what you did. You said he didn't want to fight. You called him a coward. You said he needs to be ashamed of himself to be a boxer. You know what I mean? Are those shit talking? That's a lot worse than nobody knows who you are, Deontay. We got to be real about that. And what did Anthony Joshua do? Nothing. Silence. Something that you're claiming to do. You're still in Anthony Joshua quotes. He started doing that shit earlier this week. Fucking Saturday. Nothing, never personal. Remember that? It's never personal. It's business, never personal. Damn, I know the first person said that was Nino Brown in New Jack City. But we also heard someone else say that a long time before you mentioned it out of your mouth, which is Anthony Joshua. So again, you're biting Anthony Joshua quotes. That's what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. So I have to counterpunch all this because it took a little time because of what he said in this little short segment here. And let me continue.
The rematch clause.
Well, let me ask you a question. If you were offered $1, I don't want to get specific. It may sound like a lot, but you want to also know what the other guy's getting. Exactly.
Why? See, why would you be concerned with what Joshua's getting? That seems like envy in the first degree. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys are still hell-bent on wanting to know what someone else or what's in someone else's pockets. Why? It's a streaming service. It's not a pay-per-view deal. It's not a pay-per-view fight, or it wasn't a pay-per-view fight. You know, it was going to be on a platform that made sure both of you guys were paid graciously, immensely, you know, and the first thing that you think of is how much they're getting paid. Why? Why does that concern you when they're offering your deal? You're worried about what happens at somebody else's house? Were you worried about the Joneses? Are you worried about the neighbors? You should worry about what's going on in your house. And what's going on in your house represents what's on the table for you. Not no one else. Not what's going on next door. No. What's going on in your house. Okay, let's keep going. Amazing.
Heard that. And if we're getting $1 and lady, you found out that the other guy was getting $5, you'd say, damn, the $1 was like chump change. So we asked, we never were told.
Really? And what was the reason why they just said we won't tell?
Because they was.
It's funny. They never told you because it wasn't any of your business. Just like you never told us how much you got paid to run away from the deal or to reject the offer. How much is Showtime paying you, Deontay? We won't discuss that terms. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, one thing bites the other. This shit has karma written all over it. The irony of this. They walked away from a deal because they refused to know what, and they refused to tell Team Wilder how much Joshua was getting. That is not his fucking business. You know what I mean? So you walked away for that because you walked away with 120 million and you were so fucking envious to the core that you were so worried about Joshua getting more money than you. Of course he's going to be more money than you. Why should you be worried about that? That's not your bag. That's not what you should be concerned with. You should be concerned with, okay, is this an X amount of dollars? They brought in John Skipper to get him away from Luda Bella, to get him away from Al Heyman, to get him away from Eddie Hearn, to get him away from Barry Hearn. They did that to separate the promotional companies, okay? And to come to a neutral playing field, and this shit still wasn't enough. They're still hell-bent on worrying about what somebody else is getting. That shit is incredible. I have never seen nothing like this. That's like Lennox Lewis worried about how much Evander Holyfield got when they offered him $10 million that he accepted. You imagine the fucking pettiness of that? That is some super petty shit. You know, because it killed, you know why? Because they know Deontay's hooked up on ego. His team is hooked up on money. Okay? And it's another thing to that I'm going to get to you, but I got to get through this. Because this here is some pitiful shit.
And prepare for what was about to come in those doors.
Right. We came in prepared, asked a lot of questions. John was very courteous. We've spoken since then. Eventually, Joshua will be in line for the fight. But we don't dictate to other people. They shouldn't dictate to us. Correct.
Again, he's still with the same narrative of dictatorship. It's not a dictatorship. They gave you an offer. That's what it was. See, when they start asking questions like, hey, how much is the other guy getting, right? Then they start worrying about the wrong thing. Then they started trying, see what I already know what Shelley was doing. What Shelley was doing, Shelley was trying to add up, okay, $120 million. And then if he knew what Joshua was getting, then he could put up the split and show how much that is per split. See, they're still on that split shit when it comes to the zone. You know what I'm saying? That's stupid. That's just like if look, a lot of fights wouldn't get made if it was for people that act petty like Team Wilder. A lot of fights. You know what I'm saying? A lot of fights would be like that. You know, especially on this streaming app. It's a streaming service. You know? And they're trying to claim that, oh, we're being dictated. They think it's Fidel Castro or somebody like that. That's who they're thinking. And I'm like, well, no, they made you an offer. You either accept it or reject it. If the offer was good enough, why would you start asking questions about something that's none of your concern? You know what I mean? They're starting to, you hear this shit?
We don't say to them, you got to fight on Showtime pay-per-view. If we're that big, it's way more than the 100 million you people keep hearing. It wasn't that, but that's what you keep hearing. So I'll use that number.
It's not that. The numbers that's been reported about the 100.
And let me tell you something else. Shelley just said, well, we won't tell you and dictate to you if that you have to be on Showtime to fight us. That's exactly what you did. You had to, first of all, for that $50 million, Anthony Joshua would have to come over here. Okay? He would have to come over and fight in the States because Deontay Wilder said it himself. They were like, well, do you expect Joshua to come here? And he was like, why not? We putting up the money for it. We putting up the money for the fight. You know what I mean? And at that same time, Deontay Wilder didn't even have a guarantee. Like a fucking idiot. You have your people were trying to give someone else a guarantee. Guaranteeing someone $50 million and you had no guarantee. His thing was, his whole hopes were what I'm going to get on the back end. That's what that was about. Okay. So, but again, stop saying that we never said you had to fight on this network. Obviously so if you're not trying to make the fight. But let's go on.
It's, a complicated thing, but this man is young.
Yes.
His career is just moving. Look, a year ago, he was willing to take 15 million fat.
And they say his career is moving, right? It wasn't fucking moving last year or the year. Well, it started moving last year. But like he said, last year he was willing to take that. Yeah, last year and 10 years fucking before that. Okay? Because he wasn't going anywhere with you guys. So I don't understand why Wilder is so loyal to these cocksuckers. I don't get it. Because it's like all this time, you guys have just now got the ball rolling for this guy to actually make some money. And it's really not real money. Let's be real. We don't even know what he's getting yet. So we can't say the ball is rolling now. Yeah, it's been an offer from Dazn. But it's only contingent on if you take that offer. Okay? That does, you were offered that, but damn, if you get knocked out, how much you think that deal will still be on the table? And mind you, it is not fucking a deadline on it. Okay? I have to put that in there because that's exactly what the $50 million is with no contract, by the way. But anyway.
Glad to fight Joshua. Today, he's not willing to take a multiple of that unless the conditions are right. And that means he's not signing his life away to zone/match room.
So how does that fight get made then?
There'll be a time. Yeah, it'll be a joint, or they'll at one point say, hey, we got to make the fight.
And you think that if you do a joint pay-per-view, you'll get more than the $40 million that was supposedly...
For sure. Okay. For sure.
It's a risk, no?
Why is it a risk?
Because it could potentially...
Let me answer that question. It's a risk because we don't know if that fight will do as well as they project it to do. So it is a risk, especially when you're offered a huge guarantee. That's a no-brainer. Why is it a risk?
I'll make that.
Not a chance.
Why you guys
Look, we offered 50. When the fight was smaller, we offered 50 for Joshua. We know what the numbers are.
Just looking at the pay-per-view landscape now, it seems like 350 buys is considered good. So you guys are banking on the fact that if you do a joint pay-per-view, however it goes down, they will do more than 350.
A multiple.
And see, here's the thing. They're all banking on the hope, wish, and a prayer, speak it, believe it, receive it mentality or concept that when a fight with Joshua happens, they ain't accepting any offers because they know. And then see, you can clearly see this. Wilder's camp does not want to accept any type of money like that unless it's a split because they know they have gained the maximum of their potential because if their boy gets knocked the fuck out, it won't matter. It won't matter at all if he gets knocked out. And mind you, like that reporter said, and he said a good question. I don't know who that was. I think that was Ron from the Boxing Voice, but that's what who it sounded like. But he said even 350,000 pay-per-view buys is considered good now on the way the landscape is going. So that doesn't really make sense for you to say, oh, it's on the biggest possible platform. Because how do we know that when people are streaming this shit left and right, buying Fire Sticks and other ways to watch this fight? Online? Come on, man. This is a no-brainer. So if 350,000 pay-per-view buys is the best that he's done, what makes you think that a Joshua Wilder fight is going to be bigger? It could probably be bigger if people did what they're supposed to do, if they didn't do no dirtbag shit, but we've already talked about that. I'm tired of talking about that. However, it's the truth. You think if Manny Pacquiao versus Adrian Broner only did 400,000, you think theirs is going to do much more than that? You know what I'm saying? They're hoping, wishing, speak it, believe it, receive it. They're trying to make this fight bigger. And from him turning down 120, they think their expectations of getting more from a pay-per-view split is going to be more. And that's the problem because they don't know how that's going to be. What if everybody was just like, you know what? We're not going to do that. It'll be more buys in the UK probably, more than likely if it's going to be on pay-per-view. So they're just trying to stall. They're just trying to stall out. But again, they do that because they know if Deontay Wilder finally gets in there with Anthony Joshua, this whole thing could be over in one night. And then if you look at the management of Wilder, you're talking about people that's carried a guy. Like when he was at school, he's supposed to be on the short bus, if you get what I'm saying. And they did this for 11, or should I say 10 fucking years. 10 years. The motherfucker was a champ for 3. And then he didn't fight anybody in the top 10 except for Luis Ortiz. That's some sad shit, mind you. So you think they want to, all this work and progress they put into Deontay Wilder, you think they want to fuck that all up in one night? Or 2 nights with Joshua? What if Joshua beats him easily, knocks him out? Then he'll be the laughing stock. See, we knew somebody was going to beat that ass. That's why he wanted to stall this whole time. We don't want to look at this stupid dude no more. I'm tired of his shit. Bomb squad, all that shit. Yeah. Bomb squatted on his ass. Now nobody wants to look at him or listen to him or even watch him no more. You know what I mean? Then people will go on to the next guy. You know? But I don't think they want to make that risk. Again, they want to make sure every damn drop of that blood out of that turnip is squeezed before making a deal like that. And that's that. So, you know, where these guys talk about one face, one name, they're trying to build Deontay Wilder simultaneously in a short amount of time, you know, and that's what they're trying to do. You know, I don't know if it'll work or not, but this is some cowardly shit because they're not, they don't have much faith in their fighter, you know, but it shows you how hard-headed or stubborn they are because they know, shit, we've waited 11 years and ain't made no money off this motherfucker. Why should we cash out now? You see what I'm saying? So that's the whole thing. That's their whole mentality. But meanwhile, they've totally fucked this guy's career up because they never put him in there with anything. They say, okay, well, I think this guy's ready to go. And Anthony Joshua's the key. You see what I'm saying? Tyson Fury, they thought they were going to ride with him, but he got his own deal and his own thing, you know? And of course, ESPN was going to fork out that type of money. And now if you look at it, ESPN is a bigger sports network than Showtime ever will be, right? So if ESPN is, if he turns down the deal with ESPN and what they are willing to offer him, what makes you think that Showtime is giving him that much more money? Right? So anyway, I'm just going to leave you guys with that. But no, they don't want to make that fight. They're worrying about the wrong things. I think at the end of the day, I don't know if a fight will get made. You know, this fight might go stale, especially if someone gets knocked out. But look at it this way. The silver lining of it is, regardless of who insulted who with Brazil and Wilder, you know, maybe Joshua will get the winner. Who knows? You know, or the winner out of, you know, maybe Deontay could get the winner out of Miller and Joshua. But something has to happen for someone to get humbled somewhere. I will say that. Because, see, what's going to happen, like Deontay Wilder is going to have to lose. If you notice what he said, what they both said, and I'm going to end it with this.
And the only risk that either of us is taking is losing. That's the only risk. The sense of deal is still there, and you got to always come back to it. Of course. Most definitely. Most definitely. One thing about us, we don't burn bridges. You don't burn bridges in this sport because you don't know when you have to cross that again.
So, I'm going to end it with that. And he mentioned burning bridges before. So that deal, they still have that deal. They might take that deal, like I've been telling you, like I said in my last video. They may take the deal, guys, after the Dominic Breazeale fight. Because Dominic Breazeale is a high-risk fight with a low reward. Because this guy, he has one loss, but it's a loss to Anthony Joshua. You know, so it's not really considered a huge win because Joshua already beat this guy. You know what I'm saying? So he's really considered fighting Joshua's leftovers. You know what I mean? Like Joshua. Brazil? He's fighting my leftovers. But, you know, it's one of those things. I think that's why they said that. They said that for a reason. You know, oh yeah, he was very nice and he was very professional and, you know, and we can probably make a deal again. You know why? Because a real offer is in writing. A real offer is in writing. Now let that sink in. A real one. And it doesn't have an expired ass 24-hour deadline on it if it's a real one. So I'm going to leave that with you guys. You guys tell me what you think. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.